To-do lists, crazy. That's something that we all have, and sometimes they get incredibly long, and I'm one of those procrastinators. I'm somebody that can look at my to-do list even these days, and back then it was a different to-do list when I was playing. Now it's more of a business or corporate to-do list, and I can look at it and go, oh, where do I start? In the mornings I get my coffee and I sit down and there's my to-do list. You know what? The best advice I can give is to just get started. You've got to just get started. Take that first step. Part of our preparation for the Olympics was to walk on hot coals. Our coach had us walking on hot coals to get us to develop a belief. And he said to us, he said, once you take that first step, you have to keep going, because if you don't, you'll just burn. So he related that to anything we did in life and in the planning and the preparation to the Olympics. Just get going. Get that first one ticked off, get the next one ticked off. And of course there's a priority in those. And I like Sunday nights, and even every evening before I go to bed, it makes me sleep more peacefully if I have a list for the next morning and I actually start the list at the top with the most important things I need to do and get them out of the way first. And sometimes I do leave the most important things till last, and I find I don't get to them because things get in the way. I have a child and you know, a house and a husband and a business, and it all gets in the way, and I kick myself because I should have done that day, and the next morning I'll make sure I knock that off first. Over the years I've done so much motivational speaking, and so many people have asked me what do I think the keys to success are, and I really broke it down to 3 areas. Passion. I think if you have the passion for what you do, if you love what you do, and if it becomes your life, you're involved in it to the point where you just don't think that you'd be able to do anything else, that is one step to success. The second one is preparation, doing all the planning, all the hard work, all the training that we did for hours on the beach, all the work in the gym, that was the preparation. And the third one, and I think this is the most important key, is belief. Belief in yourself, belief in your journey, belief in your team, belief in your business, belief in your choices. If you believe what you do, the passion will just come out. And people love to flock to people that have belief. If you're not 100% sure about either what you're talking to a client about, or the plan that you've decided to take on, or the coaching that you've decided to get involved with and invest your own money in, then you're not going to give 100% of yourself. You're not going to get the most out of it. So for us, the belief was so important, because leading into the 2000 Olympics, we knew that to win the gold, we had to beat the best team in the world. We'd only beaten that team one time out of 17 matches over 3 years. But that one time, and that was one of our goals, to beat every team in the world, that one time gave us that tiny slither of belief that we needed, and we just grew on that little slither of belief. But we also did other things just in case we couldn't achieve that little goal, the stepping stone to get to the Olympics. So we did things like walking on broken glass and walking on hot coals. That was all about looking at something that you think you can't do, that you think is impossible, and then just having the courage to take that first step. And once you've taken that first step, you can keep going, or you have to keep going on the hot coals, but you keep going. And then when you've done it, you look back and go, wow, I can't believe I did that, almost. And that was so easy, yet I've been telling myself that I couldn't do it. And that gives you the confidence to next time when you come up to a challenge, you think back to that moment and go, wow, I did that. Whether it's picking up the phone, asking the question, giving some advice, whatever it is that you don't think you can do, once you've just pushed yourself, have the courage to give it a go, you look back and you go, I can do that, I can do it again, and then I can do it again, and I can do it again. And at the end of the day, it's the belief that gets you over the line. It's the belief that wins you the gold medal. It's the belief that makes you successful in your own business. When I first started playing beach volleyball, going from 6 people, even 12 people a team, and 6 on the court for indoor volleyball, I switched to beach volleyball. There were just 2 of us. There were no substitutes. And all of a sudden, the first thing I started to do, if things weren't going well, I started to think, well, it's not my fault, it must be her fault. And I started to think, well, you know, and blame and make up excuses for why things weren't happening. And very quickly I realised that there was no way we were going to have success if I was doing that. I realised very quickly that I had to take responsibility for my half of the team and trust that my partner, Natalie Cook, would have responsibility for her part of the team, and then together we would be the best. So whether you're in business, in a relationship, or in sport, I think if you take responsibility for what you do, it's like being a role model for your staff. If you're a leader in your business, if you're taking responsibility and your staff see that that's happening, they will emulate that and they will accept that, they will trust that, and they will respect you more, and they will start doing the same thing. So it's like being a mum. I need to take responsibility for what I do. My son sees that, I'm a great role model, and then hopefully he does the same in his life. I was 100% volleyball most of my life because I absolutely loved it. So balance became pretty important because I needed to be able to switch off. And even during a match, we needed to have that balance of when we stepped onto the court, we were 100% focused on what was happening in that little box. When we stepped off, we could just open up our focus, talk to each other, communicate, talk about the next point, and then get back on the court and be 100% focused. So there's an example within the game of being balanced with your focus. Off the court, I needed to make sure I still had friends, I still had family that cared about what I was doing. I didn't want to be 100% just volleyball, because I knew that that wasn't healthy for me. So I made sure that I spent time and I allocated time, and luckily in our sport we get to travel the world with people from countries from all over. And so for me, the way I created that balance while I was on tour for 3 months out of the year, I was living out of a suitcase, was to just make friends with some different teams and different countries. So I would have that friendship and that downtime and, you know, fun times away from the seriousness of let's play sport and let's try and win. So balance was incredibly important. I think it can be dangerous if you start to be affected emotionally by how successful you are. And I had to really be careful of that, because even back when I was 10 years old, I remember losing at my own birthday party, pin the tail on the donkey. And I was a terrible loser. And I got all upset. And that's the earliest I can remember of being so competitive. So I had to learn how to lose, and that balance really helps you learn through those hard moments and take something out of it to be able to move forward.